Good morning. Hey, Allie, Samadina. Good morning, babe. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monday. Yay. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I did. Um, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. If you find yourself having a case of the Mondays or the Tuesdays or the Wednesdays or the Thursdays or the Fridays, well, Friday, not so much. But any of those other days, even on Friday, a little stressed. Friday night, this last Friday, excuse me, Dr. B, True Psych Ward, and Benny Keys and I did a roast of the Lori Vallow, Melanie Gibb phone call. Now, I'm not going to lie, we probably made it about um, mm, maybe 3 minutes, possibly 4 into the phone call. And then just crack jokes the whole rest of the time. So if you guys are stressed out and need a laugh, go check it out because that was one of the funnest roasts I've ever done. And I had the best time with Benny and Dr. B. So, um, am I okay with the weather? Like, meaning, am I going to be safe with the weather, or am I feeling okay about what the weather is doing? What you mean? Okay, so look, here's the deal. So if you look at the map of Florida, all right, and you see Tampa, because they always be showing Tampa, okay. If you look, if you're facing the map and you look to the left of Tampa, what you'll see is a little tiny peninsula, okay? At the tippity top of that peninsula is where I am. So we're going to get whatever it is. However, wherever it ends up making landfall, whatever happens, we're going to get it. And it is what it is. We are hunkered down. We've got what we need to get, as far as supplies. I mean, we have what we have. You know what I mean? Like, it's if I wanted to go buy water, I don't know how. I have to go check the stores because this weekend they are pretty well, you know, cleared out. But like, I've been through this will only be my like second hurricane. I went through Irma, was my first one, and I was in Dunedin then. And I mean, the way I look at it is this. This house that I'm in has been through all of the major hurricanes and it's still here. So all I can do is wait it out, because to be quite honest with you, even if so let me explain how it works in the Floridas. So my husband obviously is employed and he is working, and even if we were told, because we have until what, Wednesday morning, I guess, is when it's supposed to get bad. So if there was going to be any evacuations, it would be, you know, probably like by this afternoon into, through Tuesday, and they'll go through zones, right? The A, B, C, D, I think is how they're. I don't know if there's a D, but anyway, by that point, the gas will probably be gone, and really they don't advise you to like evacuate hundreds of miles. You're meant to evacuate like tens of miles, so you'd want to go, for us, like closer inland. And I mean, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. The worst part about it is going to be the after part, where we don't have electricity. Now, when I went through Irma in 2017, I think it was. Yeah, September of 2017. Um, where we lived in Dunedin was actually, we were in like downtown Dunedin. that neighborhood that borders downtown Dunedin, if you know that part of Florida. But anyway, we were on the downtown power grid. So we were fortunate that we got our electricity after I feel like it was like 3 or 4 days. Like it felt like an eternity, but it was really like 3 or 4 days without electricity, because we were on their same power grid, and of course they want to get the restaurants and stuff back open and, all that stuff. So, I mean, honestly, the only thing that I need for a hurricane is just my usual. I liked my 5 hours, my 6, my coffee and water. And other than that, there's really, not a whole lot. I've prepared as much as you can prepare. You gotta, you know, lock stuff down, bring stuff in, like Tuesday evening, I'll bring in the table and the chairs from the patio and, everything else. But, as far as that goes, I think we're pretty well set. You never know what a hurricane is going to do. It's already bobbled a little bit. Um, Unfortunately, it's not bobbled the way we want it here in the Tampa Bay area to bobble, but it's going to do what it's going to do. And I'm going to continue to do what I do, which is bring you guys the trial every morning. And beyond that, it'll be what it'll be. So, yeah, Corky. So here's the deal. This is what I think is going to happen or I hope for it to happen. But let me say good morning to you guys first. Let me say good morning to everyone because that's rude. Good morning, Allie. Good morning, Mo. Good morning, Corky. Did I miss it? Good morning, Jennifer. Yeah, I mean, Jen, no, Jen, I assume you go by Jen because I don't know anybody. There's only 2 nicknames for Jennifer, Jen or Jenny. So, hey, Tony. So here's, with the Valo thing. Okay, so this is what I think has happened, and what will hopefully be what goes on. So I read part of the judge's orders, and he acknowledged, that the press hadn't done anything thus far that was breaking any kind of anything, right? Like they weren't inappropriate or, they were following the rules and whatnot. So this is what I think the situation is, honestly. I think that this case, as much press as it's already gotten, right? The media coverage and whatnot, it was going to already be very, very difficult to pick a jury, right? Because you can send out a ton of summons, right? But obviously, the death penalty is on the table, so that makes it a little different. And really, what when it gets this much media coverage, right? You have to trust the jurors when they answer your question, right? And the question that's going to be asked is, can you render a verdict? I mean, this is not the exact wording, but this is what it means. Can you render a verdict based solely on what you hear in the courtroom and nothing that you've heard outside of the courtroom prior to trial, right? That's difficult because you have to, hey, support with Steffa. You just basically have to trust, right? So I think what the judge is doing is making it so the pretrial hearings are not streamed so that it doesn't further potentially taint the jury pool, okay? But I think what will likely end up happening, fair and impartial, correct, Corky. I think what likely will end up happening is I think once the jury is picked, I think we might see a change, and we might still be able to have cameras in the courtroom, because I think I'm under the impression that the
This is, of course, another day of trial in the case of State of Ohio plaintiff
that
versus George Washington. Fourth, case number 20.
JJ and Tylee's grandparents want it to be streamed. They want people to see what Lori and Chad Daybell did.
By Prosecuting Attorney Bob Johnson, Special Prosecuting Attorneys Angela Canepa and Andrew Wilson. Also present is Ryan Scheiderer, Ohio VCI&I. Is counsel for each side ready to have the jury brought up?
Yes. We are, Your Honor.
Oh, wow. That wasn't a very enthusiastic "we are, Your Honor" from the defense table. But I will say this, you guys will all be very pleased to know that the house is clean. Laundry is done. So as far as the storm goes, well, everything's clean. So if something, if we get some damage, at least that's all I'll have to clean up. I won't have to clean up the house too. So there you go. Also, I was thinking about it, and likely we're not going to have electricity, and although that's a bummer, I will at least have time to read the books I have. Yes, the cats are in. Mac is sitting here staring at me. He's very disgruntled this morning because the litter order has been delayed, and he's sassy about it. And I told him, just be patient. But patience is not one of Mac's virtues. He just let me know that I'm only going to be getting a 1/4 star from his Google review. So Alice is like, I don't care, Mom. I go potty outside because that's how I roll. Hey, Mrs. M.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Good to see you all back here. We get another day of trial today, as you're aware. Before we start, do any of you have any difficulties or problems that you need to report to the court? All right, hearing none. We are in the state side of the case. We've finished.
I clean when I get nervous. Support with Steffa. And I mean, look, the not knowing does make me nervous. But,
at the last,
you know,
on Friday.
I realize it's out of my control, really.
Call another witness this morning.
Yes, we are, Your Honor. The state of Ohio would call Special Agent Ed Staley of the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
All right. And is the defense ready?
Yes.
And yes, exactly, Tony. You're not a bad girl, Steffa. Sometimes you just got to just take a break. You know what I mean?
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God.
Yes, sir.
May you see. And statement examined.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, would you state your name for the record and spell it, please?
George Edward Staley, Jr., Staley.
And Mr. Staley, are you employed?
I am.
With whom?
The state of Ohio, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
And what are your specific duties and job assignment with the Bureau of Criminal Investigation?
I'm currently assigned to the Major Crimes Division in the Crime Scene Unit. And Crime Scene Unit is responsible for working with law enforcement personnel.
I don't know if dogs can be taught that. I would imagine they can.
When they contact us, they're looking for sometimes experience in certain things, Sometimes they're looking for equipment. Sometimes they're looking for a special process that's done. Our unit documents the scene and via photographs. We also use Faro scanners, collect evidence, and then turn everything over to the agency that we're working for.
A special agent.
Absolutely,
Staley, how long
Mo.
have you been employed with
Absolutely.
CCI?
I've started my 15th year in August of this year.
Hey, did you have to have any specialized training or experience in order to hold that position?
Investigative experience was primarily the biggest reason for things were a little bit different at that time when I got hired. They were looking for experience at that time. Now it's more about the college degree. So at the time, I had, I think, all the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy certificates at that time, and I had acquired a bunch more after that.
And where did you work prior to becoming employed with BCI?
I worked for the Ashland County Sheriff's Office 23 years prior to BCI.
And what were your duty assignments with the Ashland County Sheriff's Office?
I left the sheriff's office as a detective lieutenant in charge of the bureau operations. I did that for 3 years, and 6 years prior to that, I was a sergeant in the detective bureau, which again, I oversaw the operations and conducted investigations. 6 years prior to that, I was a detective in the same division. And then all of my time prior to that was as a uniformed deputy sheriff.
And in the BCI crime scene unit, how many crime scenes would you say you've processed during your 15 years?
Yes,
at BCI?
yes,
I would
Mrs.
have
M, I
absolutely
do.
no idea. It would be well into
Absolutely
the hundreds.
do, yes.
How many homicide cases have you investigated in your career?
I'm sure it's well into the hundreds.
I want to take you back to the 22nd day of April 2016. Were you on duty with the Bureau that day, sir?
Yes, sir.
And what was your specific job assignment that day?
I believe I was working out of my office at home.
Okay, were you ever contacted about a homicide in Pike County?
Yes.
And
Previous to that day, we were put on notice, I think maybe the night before, that maybe there might be some assistance needed from the northern units to come down and assist the southern units with a big case investigation that was going on down here in southern Ohio.
okay, and again, obviously, I'm not going to ask your home address, where your home office is, or anything like that. But how is the crime scene unit at BCI divided up?
We have a division at our headquarters in Richfield, Ohio, which is south of Cleveland. In the major crimes unit there, it's broken up into some small areas. They're not necessarily offices, but they're just dividers. And there's not all that many that are there. So we work out of our office at home. And then I have a truck that's assigned to me that's basically all my tools, all the equipment, all the supplies that are necessary for me to do my job are housed in that truck. And then I have a printer and computer system and things like that in my office at home. So I have a home office, then I have a vehicle office, and then I have a headquarters office.
But where's the dividing line geographically between the north section and the south section of crime scene?
Oh, yes,
It's
Tabitha's,
Yeah, I'm not 100%
testimony
sure
is going
there.
to be
Somewhere
crucial.
probably around the Knox County area.
And at any point that day on the 22nd, were you directed to report to Pike County?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
I received a phone call from my supervisor, and I think it was around 2:00 in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. And at that point in time, I was told to report down to Pike County to assist in the investigation.
Hey, once you had received that directive from your supervisor, what did you then do?
I drove down to Pike County.
Hey, where did you report in, if you can recall?
I think it was like a community center, or it was I'm not familiar. I'm not from around
Okay.
here, so I don't know exactly what the building was called, but
Right.
I think it was kind of like a community center, a township house or something
Okay,
like that,
a,
maybe.
yeah, mayor's office, police department in Piketon, does that
Could
sound
be.
familiar? Okay. Hey, who did you report to when you got there?
There was just a big meeting that was going on down there, and we were just placed on standby until there was a search warrant that was in the process of being done at that point in time for the address that I was going to be going to. Myself and Special Agent Dave Horn were to report to that address once the warrant was done.
Now, did you yourself participate in the drafting of that search warrant?
No, sir, I did not.
And is it a policy of BCI to require a search warrant prior to searching a crime scene?
It's best practices, yes.
Okay. And can you recall when the search warrant was obtained that day?
I want to say it was later in the afternoon, maybe around 5 o'clock-ish, a little after.
And you indicated that Special Agent Dave Horn was assigned to you as well.
Yes.
Hey, Amelia,
And
good
once the warrant
morning.
was obtained, what did you and Special Agent Horn do?
We made our way out to the scene.
And specifically, where was the scene you were assigned to?
Again, I'm not familiar with down here, but Left Fork Road.
Okay. And would that be in the county of Pike, the state of Ohio, for purposes of venue?
I believe so.
How long did it take you to get to the 799 Left Fork Road address?
From
Yeah, from the
well,
command
down
post.
here,
Yes, Amelia, how did your
20
hair
minutes,
turn
half
out?
hour maybe.
And did you document what time you arrived there?
Pardon me?
Did you document what time you arrived there?
I think it was around 5:45.
Hey, did you and Special Agent Horn travel in different vehicles?
Yes.
And what type of vehicle were you in that day?
I was in I think a white F-350 truck, I believe.
Would have been one of your standard crime scene unit trucks.
I think so, yes.
And we may have seen pictures of some of those already. And was Special Agent Horn driving a similar vehicle?
I believe so.
And what did you see when you arrived at the address at 799 Left Fork?
The driveway was, there was barrier tape, crime scene barrier tape placed across the driveway. There was uniformed personnel and uniformed vehicles at the roadway at the driveway.
And did you recognize any of the officers at the scene?
No.
Okay. So it's
Oh,
fair
I
to
bet
say
it's
you
pretty,
wouldn't
though,
actually work
still,
in the Northern Ohio area.
Amelia.
Yeah, I don't know anybody down here.
And do you recall if they were deputies or local police
I
department?
don't know
I
anybody
wanna say I
down here.
think they're
That's funny.
deputies.
Hey,
And
Nonstop
did you
Mom,
speak
good
with any of
morning.
them?
Maybe briefly,
And what would your purpose be in speaking with the deputies on the scene?
just to make sure that the scene is secure, whether or not they would have a crime scene log that they could put our names on so that we were entering into the crime scene.
And would you describe the scene for me? We're going to look at some pictures in a little bit, but I'd like you to describe it for the jurors now.
Yeah, it was a county township road. Driveway kind of went down in, it was a gravel driveway, kind of went down in back to a hillside area in a very wooded area. I think it opened up into a clearing of some sort towards the back where the trailers and the vehicles would have been. Driveway was probably 1/8 of a mile long, maybe, I suppose. It went back in a little ways, but it was in a very rural area.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Special Agent Staley, I want to show you what is marked as State's Exhibit
morning, Jody at school.
D286. Now hold that up for you really quickly, and I'm going to put it on the easel. Does that look familiar to you, sir?
It does, yes.
What is it?
That would be the scene that I had responded to.
The 799 Left Fork Road?
Yes.
If you guys don't mind, would give me a thumbs up on the stream. I'd appreciate it. Share it out if you
You
want.
see that where you?
I'm good, yeah.
And have you use that? You indicated you spoke with the deputies when you got there, that when you arrive on a crime scene, after talking with the local law enforcement, what's the next thing you do according to your policies and procedures?
Our policy usually is to start photographing everything as we find it.
Have you ever received any specific training in photographing crime scenes?
Yes.
And could you describe that for me, please?
I have participated in photography courses through the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy. I also went to the National Forensic Academy at the University of Tennessee, where we spent 3 months in-house down there working on all the forensic arts, one of them being photography, and we learned to photograph literally everything while we were doing it.
And would you tell us how you photographed the scene at 799 Left Fork Road? We're going to go through the pictures here in a minute. If you just describe what you did there.
Yeah, it depends on how the weather is. At this time, it was kind of like it is outside right now. It was in the springtime, though. So it wasn't inclement weather, anything like that. Didn't have to worry about anything like that. So starting from the roadway, I would have worked my way back to the house or the trailers, the residence, towards the back of the drive. So I would have been photographing as I was making my way back to the area.
I'm going to have you look at a series of pictures. And Special Agent Staley, I'm going to hand you what is marked as State's Exhibit D1, D2, D3, D13, and D17. I'd like you to look at those and go through those. Tell me if you recognize any of those.
Yes,
Do they truly and accurately represent the scene that you saw that day?
yes,
And for the record, did you take those?
yes.
Mr. Wilson, would you call up State's Exhibit D1, please?
Mr. Give me 1 second. Okay,
Just a second, please. Special Agent Staley, will you tell us what we're looking at in State's Exhibit D1? Or, just 1 second again. I want to double check that. Is your screen working okay?
Yes.
Tell us what we're looking at, please.
Okay, we're looking at, this would be the same area as what we're seeing over here on the easel. That's an aerial view of it, but we're looking at it from the roadway, looking back towards the trailers, if you will.
If you want to, you can even grab that pointer and point on there.
I'm doing good, Amelia. It'll be what
So
it'll
this
be.
area that we're at is not on here, but the roadway would be out in this area right here, and we're looking back. That yellow tape would be across this drive, and we're looking back towards the trailers.
And would you tell us what State's Exhibit number 2 is? If we have State's Exhibit D2, please. And tell us what that is, sir.
That's the same area. We're just now progressing back the laneway.
And would you call up D3, please? Yeah, what are we looking at here, Special Agent Staley?
Off to, as we're going down the laneway, off to the left, on one of the trees, I noticed that there was some kind of an electronic device that was on one of the trees.
Were you able to tell what type of device that was at that point?
At the time that I took this photograph, no.
And later on, did you, and we'll talk about this in a bit as we proceed into the trailer, were you ever able to find a receiver that would have been connected or hooked into that particular device?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you take a look at State's Exhibit D13, please? And what are we looking at here, sir?
Okay, now we have, from making our way back towards the trailers, I now turned around and took a photograph towards the roadway. And then you can see there's two white trucks that are sitting
Yikes,
up
that
on the
cough.
roadway. Those are our crime scene trucks. That's how myself and
There's-
Agent Horn had gotten down.
I
to
mean,
the
there's
scene.
nothing I can really
that's the
do. Like,
driveway
I've done
looking
everything
back
I can
towards the
do,
roadway.
and now it's
And who is
just
the,
gotta just wait.
individual with the
Hope for the
baseball cap
best.
depicted in that picture?
Kind
I
of
think
all I
that's
can do.
Agent Horn.
And would you proceed to D17, please? And Special Agent, tell us what we're looking at here on State's Exhibit D17.
Again, we're making our way down the driveway back towards the trailers and just photographing as we're making our way back.
Hey, will that be Special Agent Horn on the right
Yes.
side there?
Yes.
He's out of your way. I'm going to have you look at some more pictures. Special Agent Staley, I'm going to hand you a few more pictures. Be State's Exhibit D23, D24, D25, D33, D41, and D42. Just take a look at those and tell me if you recognize those.
Yes.
You know, what are those and did you take them?
Yes, those are my photographs.
And do they truly and accurately reflect or depict the scene as you saw it there on April 22nd?
Yes, sir.
Could you pull up D23, please? Sir, take a look at D23. Tell us what we're looking at there.
Okay, off to the, as you're looking at the trailers, off to the right, there was a little shed, if you will. And I believe it's this area, this building that's right here.
And did you eventually go in that shed, check it out and photograph it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get that in a little bit. And would you look at State's Exhibit D24, please? What are we looking at here?
Again, the same areas, same shed, the trailers that we've previously seen, and also the vehicles that were documented on the property.
And State's Exhibit D25.
A closer view of the vehicle documenting the license plate as it was found.
And State's Exhibit D33.
Another vehicle that was on the property.
Oh,
Actually, two more
thank you,
vehicles that were on the
Tony.
property.
Hey, Lee. It took me a minute to figure out
Yeah,
the
State's
name
Exhibit
change, but now I got it.
D31.
Good to see you, babe. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that.
And that's the other side of the second vehicle that we previously saw.
I think we're gonna, I mean,
Looking at over the top of the vehicle off in the distance there. Is that a second?
I think we'll be okay.
Yes.
Record would that be this?
Yes.
Okay. We'll get it. Is that D41, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go to State's Exhibit D42. And what are we looking at there?
This would be the passenger side of the vehicle that we just previously saw.
With those vehicles, did you an Agent Horn search through those?
I don't believe we did at that point in time. We photographed them.
Okay. And were you concerned with finding anything of evidentiary value in there?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay. And would that be why you wouldn't have necessarily searched them at that point?
Correct.
Okay. The Canvas Marks is Handy Marks Marks States Exhibits D47, D48, D50, D51, D52, D53, D54.
Oh, thank you.
D58,
Thank you so much. Hey,
D59,
Max. Thank you, Tony. That's very
D60,
sweet of you. I appreciate it.
D68,
We kind of, you got to
D75,
kind of stick together in these
D79,
situations.
D80.
Honestly, the closest relatives to
D81,
me would be
D82,
in Georgia. My sister's in
D83,
Georgia, but that's like an 8-hour
D84,
drive from here. So
D85, basically just documenting your walk around. The special agent, would you look through those, please?
that's kind of far.
Recognize them.
All right, I'll be right back, but I'll be in chat. Okay? Okay.
Yes.
Did you take those pictures?
Yes.
And do they truly and accurately reflect the scene as you saw it on April 22nd, 2016?
As I found it, yes.
I'd like to start with State's Exhibit D47. Pull that up, Mr. Wilson. Tell us what we're looking at here.
The trailer, it would be to the far left. It's just the area below that. We're just looking up. I'm just documenting overall, just the area overall.
I want to direct your attention to the left side of that picture. There appear to be a security light there.
Yes.
Were you ever able to determine if it was in working order?
I don't remember.
Obviously, you would have been more focused on the actual residence here, such as this and this area, would you not?
Yes.
Move on to State's Exhibit D48. Just tell us what that is, please.
Same area, just now a little bit more to the right, capturing both the trailers.
D49.
Now again, panning slightly more to the right, focusing on just the one main trailer.
D50.
And again, the main trailer and then proximity to the shed.
D51, please.
And that's looking back towards the first trailer that we saw.
D52.
Again, proximity between the two trailers.
D53.
Focus more towards the main trailer and then again, proximity with the shed. We're moving a little closer now to working our way up onto the hill.
D54.
And then the area showing how the distance or proximity from the vehicles to the shed and the main trailer.
Let's move to State's Exhibit D58, please.
Now I've moved a little bit more over to the right and now looking at the left-hand side of the main trailer and the deck.
And D59, please.
looking at the trailer and the deck from the frontal.
And could we have State's Exhibit D60?
And again, the main trailer, the deck, and then showing the relationship to the shed.
And we have State's Exhibit D68.
And now I've moved a little bit more to the right. And again, showing the main trailer and the front deck and the steps.
And would you take a look at State's Exhibit D75, please?
And that's a close-up view of the steps leading up to the deck at the main trailer.
And do we have State's Exhibit D79?
Going past the trailer on the right, I guess that's the front of the trailer, just documenting what's underneath the front of the trailer and kind of behind.
And D80, please.
Continuing on around, looking down the back of the trailer, just documenting what's behind the trailer.
D81, please.
And now walking even further behind the trailer, just documenting the other trailer, what's behind the other trailer.
D82.
That's pretty much the same view now, just turning slightly to the left and capturing the main trailer in the photograph as well.
D83.
And then a kind of a better picture of what's behind the trailer.
D84.
And then turning back from the way I came, just documenting that area that I just walked through.
And D85.
A little bit, same photograph, just a little bit to the left.
And if you would, take your pointer, maybe trace your route around the fifth wheel here, the camper.
We would have started taking, in that series of photographs, would have started from over here, walking up this way, photographing the front side of the trailer, and then up and around behind, and then coming back around this side of the trailer.
Well, why is it important to take all those photographs of the outside of a structure like that?
Just to document the condition of how it is, what's present, what's not present.
Move on to the shed at this point. I'm going to hand you another series of pictures. Special Agent Stanley, I'm going to hand you what is marked as State's Exhibits D86, D87, D88, D89, D90, D91, D93, D96, D98, D99, D100, D101, D102, D108, D109, D110, D112, and D118. Take a look at those for us, please, and tell us if you recognize them for the record.
Yes.
I'd like to start with State's Exhibit D86. Would you tell us what we're looking at here?
That would be the entry door into the shed.
Is that door that in that picture in the same condition in which you found it?
Yes.
Move on to State's Exhibit D87. What are we looking at there, Mr. Staley?
It's the same door. On the steps that were leading up to that door, there was a key fob that had a key on it.
And did you come back and collect that key fob as evidence?
I believe so.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Is there anything else visible in that picture? We'll move on to State's Exhibit D88. What are we looking at here?
It's the same door on the shed. And if you look, ain't up there. Follow the door all the way up to the top right-hand side. And then just around the corner, there's a camera.
If you don't mind, would you point that out in that picture? Take a look at State's Exhibit D89.
Same photograph.
I'm not
just
holding
a
my breath
close-up view
either,
of the camera.
nonstop mom, but I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic.
And State's Exhibit D90.
Now, we see the door to our right. So that would be a second camera on the back side of the shed, would be to the left of the doorway that we previously saw.
Okay. Hey, for those of us who are over 50 and don't have all our glasses with us and everything, would you mind taking your pointer and pointing out the camera on that?
This would be the doorway.
Okay. State's Exhibit G91, please. What are we looking at here?
And that appears as though there's another camera on the building. I can't really see exactly where that's at, but it looks like I'm photographing another camera on that building.
Hey, does that help any with the blown up?
Yeah, it looks like another camera.
We can move on to State's Exhibit D93, please. What are we looking at here?
The doorway that I've previously pointed out, the door's been opened now. And we see on the step below the key fob and key that I had pointed out earlier. And now on the threshold of that door, once you open it, there's another set of keys just inside that door on the threshold.
Good morning,
And did
Kes
you come back
check.
and
No worries, babe. You're not
take
late.
those keys as
You're
evidence?
just
I
on
believe so,
time.
yes.
I'd like to move on to State's Exhibit D96, please. And what does that depict?
The photographs, this particular photograph is going to be on the inside of the shed. And I would have taken a series of photographs documenting the inside of the shed as I would have found it.
You take a look at the black object on the wall. Yes. Did you have a chance to take a look at that closer?
I thought it was a bracket for a trail camera.
Did you find any trail cams, actual trail cams? Again, there's a difference between a security camera and a trail cam.
Right.
Honestly, were you able to find any trail cams in that building?
No.
I'd like to move on to State's Exhibit G98, please. And what are we looking at here, sir?
Same photograph as before. Now I'm panning down towards the floor, just documenting the stuff that's on the floor.
And is there the stairs or anything? Does that depict a stairway or anything in the back there?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see from that
Okay.
photograph.
Yeah, there'll be other pictures of it.
Get 'em nonstop, Mom.
And what are we looking at there?
The room that's inside the shed, just documenting overall everything that was inside that shed.
And D100, please.
Again, same photograph as before. It's just the area documenting what's on the inside of the shed.
And D101.
The same area. We see the trail camera now at the very top of that photograph and the barrels as we saw originally going in. It's just documenting what's inside inside the shed.
And D100, please. 100? I'm sorry, Tab.
Move it back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I am not a numbers person, if you would. See, move us up to D102, please, Mr. Wilson.
I don't understand what that means. I'm not a numbers
And
person.
is that a closer view of the bracket you previously testified to?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to State's Exhibit D108. What are we looking at here, sir?
There was a stairway that went down to, I guess, an underground basement, if you will, in that shed building.
I should ask you, what were the lighting conditions in the shed at this time?
Poor.
When you took those pictures of the first floor of that shed, were you using a flash?
Yes, sir.
And were there any lights on in the stairwell there?
I'll
at all?
look. They haven't panned over to
don't-
him.
I don't
I missed
remember,
it
but I
this
don't think
morning.
so.
As soon as they pan over, I'll announce it
Let's move on to State's
so you can
Exhibit
hear Super Mama D.
D109.
Like I don't know if I'm talking loud or not. Now I'm all like super
What are we
self-conscious
looking at?
after
there?
the comments
It's
I
just,
got
again,
from
the
Friday
area downstairs,
on my voice hurting
just
somebody's
documenting,
ears
just
and
doing a
being too
walkthrough,
loud. So now I'm
documenting
like
what's downstairs.
extra
Let's move on to
self-conscious.
D110.
Again, the same photograph as before, just closer and now panning down towards the floor, just documenting what's down on the floor.
About State's Exhibit G112.
There were multiple marijuana plants or presumed marijuana plants. I didn't test them, so I don't know. But they presumably are marijuana plants that were downstairs in that basement area of that shed.
And how about D118?
Thank you, Corky. And thank you.
Just another photograph
Tony.
of those plants.
Yeah, it's
And the
coming
area
my
around the
way.
plants.
Kez
And
chick.
did you find like grow lights,
It is.
watering systems, the accompanying things with marijuana cultivation there as well?
Yes.
Obviously, at this point, were you specifically looking for evidence of marijuana cultivation at this scene?
No.
And while you were going through the shed, did you find any DVRs or hard drives or anything like that that would have been connected to those cameras?
The cameras, that was a point of looking at them. The cameras were not plugged into anything. The DVR downstairs, if I remember correctly, was not plugged into the wall. And when I looked at it, it had cobwebs all over it. So it appeared as though it had not been used for any length of time previous to that.
With the cobwebs and it's sitting there at such time, Would it have been of any evidentiary value?
No.
I'm going to bring you back to the front door for just a second. Did you find any evidence of any type of forced entry on that shed?
I don't believe so.
Okay. If you had, you would have noted it, would you not?
Yes, sir.
You didn't see any type of like splintered wood or pry marks or anything like that, did you?
No.
Hand you another series of pictures. Would be D127, D128, D129, D130, D131, D132, D134, and D137. I'm going to have you look at those and tell us if you recognize those, please.
Yes, sir.
And would you tell us what those are, Special Agent Taylor?
They're going to be the area of the main trailer up on the deck and the front door entryway into that trailer.
I'd like to start with State's Exhibit D127. Would you tell us what we're looking at here?
The steps leading up
Hey,
to
Bessie
the deck
Cakes.
to the front
Good
of the
to
trailer.
see you.
And D128, please.
Same area, now focusing more towards the area right in front of the entry door.
Take a look around. If you, do you see anything on the deck in front of the door there? It's pretty small.
Yeah, there's a lock right there.
Move on to State's Exhibit D129.
That would be a photograph of the lock, close up.
And did you later place a placard near that lock and then take it for evidence?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's take a look at State's Exhibit D130, please. I'm sorry, it is D130. What are we looking at here?
The front door, as I would have found it, walking up to the front door there, and there was a hasp, and the hasp is open.
A what?
State's Exhibit D131. And what are we looking at there?
Still on the front deck, now to the right of that entry door, there was a small window, which would be on the front side of that trailer. And in the window, there's a cell phone that was propped up against the glass pointing out right here.
State's Exhibit D132. Is that the same iPhone you previously testified to in the last
Yes,
picture?
it is. Close up.
Let's move on to State's Exhibit D134. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the door to that same trailer front door, now from a more front.
Yeah, I
direct
don't understand
as
the
you were going
cameraman's
into
deal.
that doorway.
Like,
State's
I don't,
Exhibit D136.
yeah, I don't know what a hasp is. I think maybe he's trying to say clasp, hatch. I've never heard of a
Opening the outer
hasp.
door, just documenting
that doesn't mean
that inner
anything.
screen
It just
door
means,
is
you know.
closed, or the position of it.
There's a lot of words I
What
haven't heard
tell?
before.
Are there screens in all
Well,
those panels?
Not
Or
a
is there
lot, but
sliding
you know,
mechanism
a few.
for any of those screens or anything like that? So,
This portion of it, I can't see whether there's a screen in there or not. It doesn't appear as though there is. And this could be a sliding mechanism, possibly. That's what it looks like.
And did you see any type of forced entry, breakage, anything like that, either on the outer door or the
Excuse
inner
me.
door?
No.
Can I hand you, what's marked as State's Exhibit D138 and D142? Just tell me what those are.
D138 is going to be after the screen doors opened, just documenting the inside of that trailer as I would have found it, looking in through that front doorway. D42, or 142 rather, is going to be stepping inside and turning slightly to the left and documenting the trailer as I found it on the inside.
Listed marked as State's Exhibit D289.
Kezchik, I have to look at the updated model, but for where
Yes.
I am,
Yeah, what are we
things
looking
are
at?
supposed to get
It would be
nasty at about
the trailer
or 8, I think.
steps that we walked
Wednesday
up
morning.
onto the front porch, the front porch area, looking into the front doorway. The pictures that we just saw was looking into this area and then turning slightly to the left, documenting towards the back. And then
Yeah, we're
there's a
batting
doorway
down.
that comes to the right here, which led into a bedroom. That'd be the bigger trailer.
Oh, thank you, Kezchik. I appreciate that, babe. I think we'll be okay.
That says not to scale.
This would be more to get a general idea of where everything is in the layout of that fifth wheel camper with it on.
Correct.
I think we'll be okay. We're going to get a lot of wind. We're going to get a lot of rain.
Did you find or collect any pieces of evidence in that area?
But
I don't believe so.
we should be okay.
If you
And
had,
this
you
house
would have
has
documented them.
Withstood
You've
some
taken pictures
of the
taken
bigger
pictures with a,
hurricanes, you know, the
evidence
more
placard,
like,
everything like
Correct,
that.
yes.
like the ones for the
Now,
record
this
books.
next one, we
So,
probably
I
shouldn't
think we'll be okay.
show.
I'm hoping we're
um,
okay. I've
the
done
unit was
everything
marked as State's
mostly that I can.
D163. Tell us what we're looking.
The D163 is going to be the doorway view into the bedroom. So we're seeing some like cabinets off to the right side here a little bit. The doorway is going to be on the left-hand side, and we're looking
I hope your
through that
grandkids are
doorway
okay
into
too,
the bedroom.
Kezchik. Hey, Chick Tracy, good to see you, babe. Prayers for them that they stay safe.
You know, obviously the
I think I'm sure everybody's going to be okay. It's just, you know,
brighter than the.
just one of
screen here,
those
but,
things. It's the price you
anyone
pay for having sunshine,
visible
you know,
through your
354 days out of the year.
A foot propped up on the bed.
I hope so too, but I don't think it's gonna, Kezchik. I mean, I mean, I like to be optimistic and whatever, but I'm also realistic, and they're pretty, if anything, the only thing that's changed is it's shifted even more east. And so, um, I mean, it could still change. It's just, I kind of highly doubt that it's gonna. But you have a good rest of your night and sweet dreams
Yeah,
for
these
when you
next
fall asleep,
pictures
Kez.
actually shouldn't be shown as well either. I'm gonna hand you what is marked as.
I'm waiting for
Exhibits
the
11
11 o'clock update.
D179,
Let me see.
D185, D183.
Hold on, I got a little.
And D190. Just take a look at those for me, sir.
Yes,
Did you take those photographs?
I believe I did, yes.
Do they truly and accurately depict what you saw that day?
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to take a look at State's Exhibit D169 and tell us what we're looking at there.
Have progressed through the doorway that we previously just saw into the bedroom area. And to the right, there was a dresser. Looks like a TV or computer screen up on top of it. The front window that we see in that photograph would be where we photographed out on the front deck, the one that we saw the cell phone propped up in. And just documenting the room, the condition of the room, and how it was found.
I want you to take a closer look
Support
at
with Steffa. So if you
open top
look
drawer.
at
Was there
a
anything there
map
that drew your attention?
of Florida where you see Tampa,
This
okay, if
item
you
right
look,
here
you're looking at the
sticking
map,
up
you're
in
facing
that
it.
open drawer.
To the left is a
And
little peninsula. At the top of that
some of the
peninsula,
first
that's where
photographs
I
that we
am.
saw when we were going back the driveway, there was a white electronic object that was on the tree. And that object was later determined to be a motion
Oh, sorry.
sensor,
Let me turn
motion detector.
him back up.
And that white object that you see sticking out of the drawer there was kind of like the alarm portion of that sensor.
Did you find it to be in good working order and actively working?
We tested it and it worked, yes.
I'd like to move on to State's Exhibit D179. This will show our victim, so please do not show it.
179.
D179. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Via the photograph going straight in through that doorway, there was a bed, mattress. On the mattress was some clothing, some money, set of keys, and the decedent was found on that mattress.
If you would take a look at the blue jeans on the right side there, did you notice anything significant about the pockets?
Pockets were turned out.
Move to State's Exhibit D185.
Again, you're looking at the blue jeans, the items that were found on the bed, the keys, money, and then you have the decedent's feet.
Did you later collect any of these items as evidence?
I think so.
Okay, you would have had that documented in
Yes.
the report and photographed?
Yes.
Okay. Move to State's Exhibit D183. What are we looking at here, sir?
It'd be as we previously saw, the mattress, this would be to the far left side of the mattress between the wall and the bed.
How much space would you say would be between the wall and the bed, looking at State's Exhibit D183?
Not much.
I want to move on to State's Exhibit D190.
190.
190, Mr. Wilson. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This would be the opposite side of the bed. So as we were looking in that room, this would be to the right side of the bed.
I want to move to State's Exhibit D174, please. And what are we looking at here, sir?
That's going to be the decedent in the position that I found him.
I want you to take a close look at State's Exhibit
I-
D174.
Did you hear me support with stuff? But yes, where I am is gorgeous. I really do love it here. Like, I'm not even
Right there.
Yes, can you tell us what that is?
It was a cartridge
pressed.
case.
I'm okay. Look, I'm a little concerned about it. It's a hurricane,
Move on to
right?
State's Exhibit
But at this point,
D194.
I don't know what else I can do. I just kind of gotta
And what are we looking
wait it
at
out
here?
and try to
This would
stay.
be walking up on the
know,
right side of the bed and
watch
now
the
focusing
updates.
on that cartridge case as it was found and taking photographs as I would have found it.
State's Exhibit D195.
Same photograph, now just zooming in, getting a closer photograph of it.
You take a look at State's Exhibit D240.
Well, you have sweet dreams too, Chick Tracy. I'm glad you popped in to say hi.
And State's Exhibit D43.
D43.
G43. I'm sorry, D243, I apologize.
That would be a much closer, now from the other side or from the back side of it, a much closer photograph of the cartridge case as I would have found it.
Move on to State's Exhibit D209.
And again, a close-up of the cartridge case, now using a scale for size and reference.
In this next
Hey,
series,
chicken lady.
depicts our victim, so we don't want to have those shown. Let's move to State's Exhibit D191. Tell us what we're looking at here, sir.
Would be the decedent as I would have found him.
And at this point, did either you or Special Agent Horn or anyone in your presence that touch the decedent, manipulate him, move him in any way?
No, sir.
Okay. Move on to State's Exhibit D219.
Would be another photograph of the decedent showing position, capturing more of the head, shoulders, and chest area.
Trying.
State's Exhibit D236.
I'm trying to see like what time they're expecting it for my part of Florida, but everybody that's talking about it has, because it's
You're not
kind of far
repetitive.
away
It
from
shows
us.
a
I mean,
close
right
view.
now,
The
you know what I
last,
mean?
The last picture was even from a different angle. These are
Hold
different
on a
angles.
second. I have
They
a
are
tickle in my
primitive.
throat.
We
I'm so sorry.
can do this before. I only have two more pictures of Mr. Roden just in the state of the crime scene to show. They're both at different angles.
But anyway, the ones that are updating right now that have the 8 o'clock
And what are we
update,
looking at here, sir?
they keep
Again,
putting
the,
their like
position
watermark
of the decedent
graphic
as he was
over
found.
where my part of Florida is. So it's not very helpful.
I want to move on to State's Exhibit D235.
And now place,
Objection.
What?
Over.
Same reason, Your Honor. State's Exhibit D35, tell us what we're looking at here.
Be the same, similar photographs, now placing a scale in there for size and reference.
He's
And how long would,
gotten more
would you say you were in the
organized,
bedroom
cuz chick,
with the,
and
decedent
he's pretty
that day?
big. He's pretty big. By the time it
I don't
hits
remember.
or gets
Not-
close to
not
where
real
I am
long.
in Florida, it'll be like a
Hey, did
3.
you have a chance to,
But I'm
you take a
trying
look
to
at the-
see
not sound more, but blood flow and his face pretty closely?
I have
Yes,
to go to
And
Facebook,
you
which I
previously
try not
indicated
to
you've,
do.
Investigated
You know, I don't be liking
several
Facebook.
hundred homicide cases.
correct.
Have you had any advanced training in, the blood spatter, blood flow, anything like that?
Yes, sir.
And what type of training was that?
Again, through the National Forensic Academy at the University of Tennessee, there was extensive studies done with bloodstain pattern analysis. And at BCI, we have participated in numerous courses where we brought in experts from outside to study bloodstain pattern analysis as well.
And looking at State's Exhibit 235 and observing Mr. Roden that day, were you able to tell if his right eye was open or closed?
The right eye,
Yes.
I was not able to tell.
Okay, well,
It's not
that's
there.
patently unhelpful. Hold
So
on,
the,
I'm going to keep
eyelid.
looking.
How about the left eye?
It looks like it's partially open or partially closed.
No, that's 4 hours ago.
And looking at that picture D235 and recalling your time at the scene that day, does the blood flow suggest anything to you?
I don't know how big it is, but it looks
In my
big.
opinion, that was the position that he was shot.
Were you able to say, looking at him there, whether he would have been awake or asleep? Or is there a way to determine that?
Again, in my opinion, I would say he was asleep.
And looking at the area around his right eye socket, do you see anything noteworthy around there?
You have the red area around it. This area,
Yes, sir.
that's usually common with unfired gunpowder that kind of speckles the body. It leaves little red marks when it's fired at a closer distance.
Are you able to
Thank
give
you,
us,
Cuz
since your
Chick.
training experience, a distance
I
that
appreciate
firearm
it.
was fired?
No.
And why is that, just for the record?
Our laboratory doesn't do it anymore.
I want to ask you another question. Were you able at the scene to determine the angle of entry?
Plus,
into
this
Kenny
attorney,
Roden's
I want to
red
ask you
eye
another
socket or anything
question.
like that?
Like they're having a
No.
conversation and he
Are you
doesn't
able to
get to
tell
just
us,
ask him questions.
Anything about
Bless
the path
it.
of that bullet?
No.
Would that be due to multiple variables?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Let's move on to State's Exhibit D212. What are we looking at here?
This is going to be the front window, the shade that's in the front window. And if you can see just between the blinds here, the shade will be the cell phone that's propped up in that window.
Move on to State's Exhibit D213.
Now just opening up the blind just slightly to capture that phone that's propped up in the window.
And State's Exhibit D215.
There's we're looking at the bed and we can see the decedent's feet, the jeans that we had previously saw, and there's a work light, if you will, that looks like it's on. and it's laying down on the floor below that window.
Was it lit when you entered the bedroom?
It would have been just like what we're seeing here.
Was there any other source of light in any part of that trailer when you were there?
Not that I remember. I don't believe there was anything on other than that light.
Oh, good. Thank goodness, Kezchik. Oh boy, Chick Tracy.
And at what point in the investigation did you start?
Thank goodness it's
documenting
gone.
Any pieces of evidence?
Peace out, Ian.
We would have gone through and taken all these photographs overall, documenting the scene as we would have found it. And then we would have gone in to identify specific items of evidence that we knew that were going to be used later as evidence or potential evidence. And then we would have put down numbered placards. They're yellow numbered tents, placards, if you will. And then I had Agent Horn at the time had a 3D Faro scanner. And that after we would have gone in and taken those photographs, then Agent Horn would have gone in and employed the Faro scanner. And that's a digital, it makes almost like a hologram, if you will, of the entire scene. And then that can be used for any measurement. Basically, it measures 40 million points every 6 to 8 minutes. So every time you do a scan scene, it would record 40 million points in about 6 to 8 minutes.
I'd like to have you take a look at that Faro scan right now, if we could. And Mr. Wilson, would you pull up State's exhibit? I believe it is S2.
It's four.
I apologize.
For the record, this will also be on an external drive that's marked with our video and audio. It'll be in the Faro scan folder. It'll be marked as Exhibit S4.
Any objections?
No objection.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. And sir, is the Faro scan an accurate depiction of what you observed of the scene that day?
It is, yes.
And what's the purpose in taking a Faro scan?
It is actually a way of recording everything that's at the scene, as I said before, with accurate measurements. And in seeing what we just saw in the fly-through, I had put placards down. Those numbered placards, which we saw on the bed, are indicating items of evidence that would have been collected. And that's where they were at. I just added the tents or the placards to that, and then it was documented with the Faro scanner.
want to direct your attention to States Exhibits 260 and 261 right now. I'm going to ask you, you recognize those, sir?
Yes.
What are those?
They're going to be, we're at the shed outside at the doorway, the man door walking in. Item number 2, placard number 2 is going to be the key and key fob that was on the step. And item number 1 is going to be the set of keys that were found on the threshold just inside the door.
And handy was marked as States Exhibits D262, 264, and 265. Do you recognize those?
Yes,
Did you take those?
I did.
Do they truly and accurately reflect the scene as you saw it that day on April 22nd?
Yes, sir.
2016? And we're looking at States Exhibit D262. Basically, you've got your yellow crime scene number, and with the number 1, just for the record, is that the first piece of evidence you would have collected?
Yes.
And do you continue through with the yellow numbers in a sequential order?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
trying to watch ABC Action News now, and they're having issues with their
Can you
camera
put his
person
mark
as well.
As
They've got this great map of Florida,
States
and they break it
Exhibit
down about like sea level, yada yada yada. But the cameraman, like, I don't even know how to explain it, other than it's one of those. I'll be there in a minute. Like, they're pointing at something, and then the cameraman finally, or person finally, like gets to there, and then all of a sudden just jerks the camera away. So I don't know what we're supposed to be seeing. There's a press conference for Pinellas County. Now, just so you know, Holiday is Pasco County. Okay, but my part of Holiday is just into Pasco County, right? I'm just barely over the line of Pinellas County, between Pinellas and Pasco.
Obviously with that
So I
bag,
kind of pay
there's,
attention
you
to
know,
both.
multiple labels and things like that. Do you recognize that evidence bag?
It's my evidence item number 1.
I will say this: the one thing that I'm very concerned about
Yeah, what did that?
as far as this hurricane goes is
My initials and the date are put on the back of it where I taped
flooding.
it shut.
because the way this neighborhood is, on
I believe it was.
like both sides of it
And for the record,
are,
they put their locations and their stickers and lab numbers on that.
freshwater.
Correct, yes.
Basically, you
And
see a red
that's where the
sticker on there
alligators
with
are.
the
And I've
DCI.
always said, if this neighborhood
Lab sticker.
ever were to
I believe
flood,
that's a London
right,
sticker, yes.
the alligators would be in the
So they use different
streets.
stickers for different,
Now, my husband
laboratories,
assures
like
me
Richfield,
that
Bowling Green.
the way that this
they're-
neighborhood is, we're actually
they're a
on a
little
little
different.
tiny bit of a hill. And
Yeah,
so
would you mind opening that up?
that's it. It's going to take it longer for, if it were to flood, it would take it longer for it to get to us. Not like, we're not talking about days or anything like that, but just, so that's how it is. So we'll see. I did joke with my son, there's an old vine where a hurricane is coming, and I'm pretty sure it's Florida, and this kid is out there. I mean, he's got to be like 20, 21, somewhere in there,
There's a lock with different
holding an
keys,
American flag,
key in the
wearing
lock.
like cut off jean shorts, and the background music is Metallica. And I told my son, hey,
Yes.
maybe me and you can because they've uploaded it now to the Tickety Talks. And I said, well, maybe me and you can reenact that.
Picture up there, State's Exhibit,
So,
D262.
I mean, you
Appears
just
as
kind
though
of
it
got to
is,
keep your
yes.
sense of humor about it. I mean, you guys know how I am. You know, I'll make jokes. That's how I cope.
Your Honor, the parties have a stipulation.
I'm going to tell jokes all the way up
In
until
regards to State's Exhibit.
the day
D267.
of the hurricane, right? And then
And what that
like
stipulation
an hour
is, Your
before
Honor, is
it,
again,
whenever,
in order to
like I'll
prevent
try
the
to time it so
forensic
that my,
scientist from having to come down
you know, I still
testify,
have
is that
electricity.
State's Exhibit
I'll tell one
D276
showstopper,
is a lock with keys to
and
the
then I'll
shed
probably lose
to the residence
electricity,
identified as
and that's
799
that.
Left Fork Road. This exhibit is identified with BCI item number 1, lab report number 7. This item was sent to the lab for DNA analysis.
It's still a
The
good
lab
one.
assigned the
You know what
following
else is a
lab
good one?
numbers to this exhibit.
When
Item
the
7A is the single key in the
I
lock.
can't- when the guy
There was
scares
no
the
DNA profile
guy
recovered
trying to
from
go down the stairs, and
item
he's holding a
7A.
plate of food, and
And
he
if you
goes,
would, sir, would you hold up the lock
"Stop!
unit?
You almost made me drop my croissant." It's just funny to me. I don't even know why. It's nothing that is like inherently
We're basically
hilarious.
talking about that item. Item 7B is the
I'll say
keys on the
this.
ring, excluding item 7A, the special agents.
Every time I go to like the
There was no
grocery store, the
DNA
way to get out of the
profile
neighborhood to go
recovered
to the
from
easier way to
item
get
7B.
makes it closer. There's two
Item
ways you can go, right?
7C is the lock.
But I always I
You
make my
previously
husband
showed us
go
the lock,
past
sir. Item 7C
like the little
was
bridge
found to
thingy.
have a
So because
mixture
on
of
either side
DNA
of
on
it
it,
is the
and
fresh
Jennifer
water
Williams'
and where the
DNA is
gators are,
included
and
in
I'd
the
be
mix.
looking every time, and
Item D is
I
the
see
remaining set of
their
keys.
little heads. Oh, they're
Item
so
7D does
cute.
not contain sufficient DNA
I mean,
data
I don't
for
want them for a
comparison
pet or
purposes.
anything, and I realize what an
Is that
alligator
acceptable to
is,
everyone?
but they're just little, and because they're you know, it takes them a long time to get big, right? These ones are still ones that I've
All
seen.
right, so that's
are
one
little,
stipulation, but it
you know,
includes 4 separate
so
items.
Yes, Your Honor, actually it was the
like I
lock and
probably
keys is
should be
depicted in
scared,
State's Exhibit D262.
and I suppose
They were given
if
set numbers of A, B, C, and D.
I if
Stipulation.
one were in my yard, I would be scared, you know, because they can move fast on land too.
That you accept
But just looking at them from,
stipulations
Mike
to
had to say the
establish this
croissant
fact
one too.
fully as
Ah,
established.
you almost
have
made
to
me
be
drop my croissant.
I want to hand you what's marked Exhibit D277. Can you tell us what that?
But I gotta say, lately, this new trend I'm
The
seeing on the
evidence
Tickety
item number
Talks,
2, and it was a set
um,
of keys that were recovered from the steps.
where
of the
they
shed.
have you like do
Mr.
random
Wilson, would you
things. Like
pull up,
this newest one
State's
is
Exhibit
um,
D264, please.
scream. Just randomly scream when your dogs are playing. Like
And are there any
I'm not
markings
down with the
on there
messing
that
with
are
the dog.
familiar
You
to
know
you?
what I mean with the animals
Yes,
or whatever,
my
because it freaks
my
them out. They
initials
don't know
and
what
the
you're
date
screaming
are on the
about.
seal
You
on the
know,
back.
they don't know it's a joke.
And what did you do with that particular item?
Yeah,
once you
see,
once you've taken it from the scene?
It would have been placed in evidence and turned over.
I started
to,
so I'm
think it
before
was
I
Brian
moved to
White.
Florida, I moved to Georgia and I didn't like it. And my sister-in-law is in Florida. And she's like, why don't y'all come down here? So we said, all right, let's come
Yes,
down
sir.
there. And that's
Would
what
you
we
open
did.
that up for us, please?
I don't know if I don't know if I could hold a gator, not because okay, so they're already starting. Oh wow, okay. Hold on, let
Is
me
that the same,
look at this real quick.
translucent key fob
Let me see what's
as depicted in
happening.
State's Exhibit 264 on the screen?
I believe it is.
All right, let's see.
Your Honor, we also have a stipulation in regards to State's Exhibit 277.
Please state
I'll
that.
review it. State's Exhibit D277 is a key fob recovered from the residence identified as 799 Left Fork Road. This item is identified as BCI item number 2 and lab number 8. It was submitted to the lab for that DNA testing. Item 8 does not contain sufficient DNA data for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker?
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence.
I've literally watched this animation
Mr. Wilson, could you
87
pull up
times and I
State's
still
Exhibit
don't
D266, please.
get it.
What are we looking at here, sir?
Would be on the front deck outside the walk-in door of the
They just make
trailer.
it go too fast and I can't like
Placard number
retain
3
whatever
was placed
information
down
it's
there
trying to
for
tell
the
me.
lock that was found on the deck.
Oh
just
boy.
outside the door.
It's going to be one of those days, y'all.
The hand you put is marked as State's
Tuesday.
Exhibit D278. Mr. Wilson, would you pull up State's Exhibit D267, please?
I'm serious, you guys. I can't figure this dadgum thing out. I feel like Wednesday at some point is when it's supposed to hit.
Handy was marked as State's Exhibit
2 p.m. Wednesday, yeah.
D278. Do you recognize that?
Yes, evidence item number 3. It was a lock that was recovered near the front door.
This is why, like, I'd rather watch it on YouTube
I did.
because
My
then
initials and the
I
date are
can
across
like
the seal
pause
on the
it
back.
or slow it down. It's
And
going
was that
too
ever sent to
fast.
the, BCI
I need
DNA
help.
lab at any point?
I believe it was.
And are the lab markings on the bag itself, such as a label?
Yes.
Would you open that up, for us, please?
Oh, I'm sure this jury is incredibly overwhelmed. Bless their hearts.
D267 that you found on the deck of that trailer.
I believe it is.
Yeah, it just. Why are you even showing this graphic, NBC? It's
Your Honor, the parties
horrible.
also
It's
have
too you have the timing
Stipulation in
too
regard
fast and
to
you can't
State's
even read what
Exhibit
time it is.
D278 for the record as well.
Grr.
Please state the
All right, let me
stipulation
look at
to
the
jury.
YouTubes.
Stipulation is that State's Exhibit
See, this is why I don't like to look
D278 is a
because then I
lock
get
found
like
near the front
obsessed
door of
with
the
looking
residence,
and then it's
identified
a
as
problem for me.
799 Left Fork Road. This item is identified as BCI item number 3 and lab number 9.
I have issues, y'all.
item
But
was
y'all know
sent to the
this.
lab
All right, let me turn
for
it up for you
DNA
guys. You don't need to
testing.
hear my
Item 9 does not contain
blathering
sufficient
on.
DNA data for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker?
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
Mr. Wilson, would you pull up State's Exhibit D269, please? And if you would, sir, take a look at State's Exhibit D269. Tell us what we're looking at there.
This is going to be in the bedroom of the trailer that we were in. And I've placed down placards 4, 5, 6, and 7. And 4 is going to be on the bed. And that would have been the money and the keys, the items that would have been found in that area. 5, I believe, is going to be the pair of blue jeans that appeared as though the pockets were turned out. 6 is going to be, it's hanging on the blind, but 6 is going to be the cell phone. You can just see the cell phone off to the right of number 6. And then 7 is going to be on that green comforter blanket, and that's going to be the cartridge case that was previously photographed.
Mr. Wilson, would you pull up State's Exhibit D270, please?
270.
270. And for the record, what are we looking at here, Special Agent Staley?
Placard number 4 is going to be referencing a set of keys and the money that was found on the bed.
Handy was marked as State's Exhibit D279. Do you recognize that item?
That's my evidence item number 4, where it was signed and sealed by me on the back on the April 22nd of 16.
I just want to refer you back to the diagram here. If you mark your State's exhibits, I'm sorry, got BCI numbers 1 and 2, which are the keys and the key fobs at the outbuilding. The lock was found in this area, was it not?
Yes.
And now we're talking inside the bedroom. We're looking at item number 4, which is State's Exhibit D279.
Correct.
If you would you open that up and tell us that is? And did you package that yourself from the scene?
I did, yes.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so distracted. I shouldn't have done this. I should have probably just not streamed.
Mr. Wilson, would you bring up State's Exhibit, the picture D272, please? And Special Agent Staley. take a
Thank
look
you,
at State's
Amelia.
Exhibit D272. Does that look familiar to you?
It does, yes.
And for the record, you'd have taken that picture.
Yes, sir.
And what does that depict, just for the record?
Would be evidence placard number 5, which is documenting a pair of blue jeans that were found on the bed in that bedroom.
I'm going to hand you what is marked as State's Exhibit 280. Do you recognize that bag?
Yes, sir.
And tell us what that is.
It is evidence item number 5, which was the pair of jeans that was collected from the bed. And my initials and the date are across the seal on the back.
Okay, all right, you guys. You know how I get self-conscious? I don't know
And
why.
if you would you
I'm
open those up?
seriously, you guys. I've watched
That's
this same
stipulation.
animation 87
We
times,
actually
and
do
then I
have a
had to turn it off
stipulation
because
on
I
that,
couldn't
so
figure it
We'll
out.
save you some time, Special Agent Staley. You won't have to open those up. especially
Yeah, Amelia, I wish they would too. I just
seeing the type of evidence
so now
that
it looks like
is.
Thursday at 2 a.m.,
Yeah, the item contained in State's
which is
Exhibit DC
actually
272 will be the same item you see in that
worse?
bag, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's agreed to by council.
Yes.
I don't know.
The stipulation we have, Your Honor,
Yeah,
is that State's Exhibit D280.
now it's
is
saying
the,
Thursday. It was
pair of
Wednesday,
jeans
so
found
that's
inside
good.
a residence
guess. I don't
identified as
know.
799 Left Fork Road. This item is identified as BCI item number 5 and lab number 2. Item 7C was found to have a mixture of DNA on it, and Kenneth Roden's DNA is included in the DNA profile on the jeans.
And I was thinking, why are they bothering to talk about results where the,
All right, the jury
with
is
the-
instructed
with the
to
DNA,
accept the stipulation
but-
just given to be
hang on, I
established
wanna-
as fact as fully as if it had been established.
I will say
through
this.
evidence.
There is an old adage.
Mr. Wilson, would you
absence of
bring up
evidence is not
State's
evidence of
Exhibit
absence. And I think that what the
D275
state is going to prove is the reason why there isn't any physical evidence is because this family plotted and planned for it not to be that way. This was not a spur of the moment. This was not a crime of passion, which obviously, you know, people usually think about that in terms of like a romantic relationship, but not always. And so I think that they are
sir.
laying the foundation for the
It's
depths
evidence item number 6.
and the level of
would be the
planning
cell phone that was collected
that went
from the
into
window
committing this
with
crime.
my
These
signature and
crimes, I
date
should say.
across
It's
the
multiple
seal.
crimes.
And can you tell by looking at the evidence bag, was that sent to any other division of BCI for analysis?
I don't believe so.
Would you mind opening that up and showing it to the jury, please?
Yeah, it was stipulated contents.
If there's not an objection to it, maybe save you a little bit of time, Special Agent. And just for the record, the item contained and listed as State's Exhibit D281 is the same iPhone, basically rose gold, as depicted in picture D275.
Yes, sir.
Is that agreed to?
Yes,
Mr. Wilson, would you bring up State's Exhibit D273 for me, please?
And I will say this. I remember when
Exhibit D282. Do you recognize that?
Hurricane Irma hit, and
It's evidence item number 7
I'll never
There's a
forget it
cartridge
because
case
I was watching
that was found in the
90 Day
bedroom with my
Fiancé,
initials and the date across the seal.
and I remember when the power went out, and that was at night. That's when it hit at night. But then all day on Sunday, the wind was just like it's a steady wind, right? Doesn't stop. And
It
then
was on
you'll have a
there was a green
gust.
comforter or blanket covering part of the decedent.
I've never
And it was
been.
laying on
Good
top
morning,
of that
cement
green
shoes. I've
comforter or
never
blanket.
been in a
That's what
house
you have depicted in
when,
State's Exhibit D275.
like
Correct, yes.
when I lived in Dunedin, I was in an apartment on the second story, so I really wasn't worried about flooding because hello. But
Looking at it, I've been reviewing that bag.
I've never been in a
That was
house,
sent
so
to
I
any
don't.
other division of
But I'm not.
BCI.
I mean, I'm not
I believe
like.
it was sent to the
Look, mainly, I'm
laboratory.
just not looking forward to. We're surrounded by trees, right? My whole backyard is
We'd like
trees,
to see- on this
and
one,
mainly I'm just worried
on
about
this
like
particular exhibit, Your Honor, we
that,
actually would like the
and
jurors
then
to
I'm
see it. They can see that
dreading
they've seen pictures
the
of it, but we'd like to see them we'd like to
length of
have them see the
time
actual showcase.
without electricity, because I remember when we moved to Pinellas Park, which was that
Hey, would you mind taking
following,
that out of the bag?
I think it was 2018, like April or March of 2018.
Is there an objection to publishing this? to the
no
jury?
objection.
Actually, that was my next question.
When my daughter
Special
was,
Agent Staley,
made
would you
friends, they
mind
were talking
stepping
about
out
it,
with the
and she was
spotlight?
asking,
Focusing after the
and
jury, showing them-
her friends were saying like that in Pinellas Park, where that neighborhood was, they were without power for like a week. And I don't think that, I know there's a gas station on the corner and a CVS on the other corner, but the grocery stores are like on the other side
Other jurors over here,
of
too.
19.
Since you're kinda new to-
And so I'm pretty sure that they're not going to, I mean, those neighborhoods on the other side of 19, if they lose power, they'll probably get restored first. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. Hold on. I'll be right back. Alice is crying. I think she needs to go out. So I'm just going to turn this up, mute, and
Says
then
Hornady,
be in chat.
40 S and W.
Hey, would you show the head stamp on that shell casing? Publish that to the jury. If you would you put that in the bag, please? Yeah, I used the term head stamp with you earlier, and I would assume, sir, your training and experience, especially in the Ashland County Sheriff's Office as a detective and your 15 years of BCI, are you familiar with firearms?
To a degree, yes.
And what, for you to use the term Hornady, what is Hornady?
It's a brand name.
Such as, for ammunition?
Yes.
And obviously, some people may have heard of like Winchester, Federal, Remington, things like that.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is just basically another ammunition manufacturer.
Correct.
And looking at the state's exhibit D282, were you able to tell a caliber, or is the caliber on the head stamp? Because again,
Says 40 S and W.
with regards to 40 S and W, we've used the term 40 caliber, the head stamp says 40 S and W. Are those terms that are used interchangeably?
Yes.
They kind of like 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, something like that.
Yes.
So basically, if I have any type of ammunition that's got a head stamp on it that says 40 Smith & Wesson, it would be the same thing as if I said I've got a 40 caliber cartridge or 40 caliber ammo. Then.
I believe so.
Okay. Obviously, we have people in the lab that can testify to that. And your training experience, basically as a crime scene agent, do you get into the analysis of firearms at any length?
I do not.
Now, you also did, you can take that down if you want to, Mr. Wilson. You also had indicated in your report you took blind swabs off our victims' hands and wrists.
Yes.
If you would, tell us what a blind swab is.
A blind swab is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. There's not anything visual that you can see. There's not like there's a substance there that you're looking for. There's not anything that's visible that you can detect with your bare eye. So a blind swab would be for maybe if somebody grabbed a hold of somebody or moved them around, manipulated them, wrestled with them, whatever the case might be, you would find a transfer of touch DNA on that person's skin by collecting a blind swab. So we use a sterile swab with a SEB, stain extraction buffer, that is produced by our laboratory. And all that is sterile water with a little bit of detergent in there that helps to collect or gather the touch DNA if it's there.
What was your purpose in taking blind swabs from our victims' hands in this particular case?
To see if anybody would have grabbed or restrained his wrist during any time in an altercation.
And looking at the looking at the scene such as you saw that day, did you see any signs of a struggle, altercation, anything like that?
No.
And, but in such a case though, just in case, and to be absolutely sure, you still take blind swabs then?
Just as a precautionary measure, you get one chance at getting evidence, so
I'm gonna hand you what's marked as state's exhibits D283 and 284. So would you tell me what those are?
these would be the blind swabs, evidence item number 8 and evidence item number 8A that I would have collected, and I initialed the seals and dated on the back.
In regards to state's exhibit 283, is that in regards to the left hand?
Yes,
And that would be item 8.
yes,
In regards to state's exhibit 284, just for the record, that's item 8A,
correct.
and that would be the swab of the right hand.
Yes, sir.
Hey, did you ever, in reviewing the scene, especially the bedroom, find anything that you considered a possible blood stain?
There was a blood stain on the wall of the bedroom. I believe it was off the foot of the bed. And when it was tested with a presumptive test of TMB, it was tested presumptive positive for blood. So a swab was collected from that stain.
Okay. And you usually carry the chemical TMB in your crime scene truck for situations such as this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just gonna have maybe review case exhibit D179. They took me to the foot of the bed. Maybe that generator, we can have them take a look at the diagram if you like. Let me show you state's exhibit 288.
Okay, the photograph,
Hey, would you pull up, let me get that.
179.
Thank you.
Again, we're in the bedroom off to on the side of the bed where the decedent was on the wall. There was a reddish brown stain that was found on the wall over there. It was tested with my chemicals TMB, and it was found to be presumptive blood. So a swab was collected of that stain.
And are you able to tell, and this is basically the best picture we have of that area, state's exhibit D179, where the generator, you would have found that, if you can see it from that angle.
Yeah, it's not going to be very visible from that, but 9 is going to give you the best idea area of where it was located. So it would have been on the wall on the side of the bed, left side of the bed if you're viewing it, which would have been the side the decedent was closest to.
I'm going to have you actually take a look at state's exhibit 285. Just identify that for the record, if you would, sir.
It's my evidence, number 9, blood-like stain that was found on the bedroom wall, signed by me and dated on the seal.
And what did you do with that particular piece of evidence once you took it?
That would have been placed into evidence, and it was turned over to, I believe, Brian White.
Can you recall what time you finished up the crime scene processing there at 799 Left Fork that day?
It was several hours later.
And if you can recall, did you or Special Agent Horn assist in the removal of the victim in that scene?
I don't believe so.
Would you normally do that?
No, normally we don't. I don't.
And did you ever come back, go scene 4, that interchangeably with 799 Left Fork Road? Did you ever come back to that scene for anything?
No, sir.
Again, you normally work in northern Ohio. Have you been assigned any other cases in this end of the state since this happened?
Not since this has happened, no. I've been in Portsmouth a couple of times because they didn't have agents available, but
And at any time, did you go into any of the other scenes?
no, sir.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Your Honor, we do have a final stipulation and that is that no DNA profiles belonging to Edward Jacob Wagner, Angela Wagner, George Washington Wagner III, or George Washington Wagner IV were found at scene 4, 799 Left Fork Road. Is that acceptable?
That's correct.
All right. The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through.
Wait.
evidence in court.
Your Honor, I
Thank
have
you,
no
Chick
further
Tracy.
questions
I
for Special Agent State.
Feel honored. Let's, I'm going to rewind that
We'll
5
take a break right now.
seconds
We're gonna have it in a couple hours.
because I
We will
miss,
take a 15-minute moment break. ladies and
wanna see
gentlemen of the Jury at, let's make it at 15 after 11. You're
Let me-
to assemble at the jury.
799 Left Fork that day.
It was several hours later.
I want to hear what they
And if
say.
you can recall, did you or Special Agent Horn assist in the removal of the victim in that? Go see work in northern Ohio. Have you been assigned any other cases in this end of the state since this happened?
Not since this has happened, no. I've been in Portsmouth a couple of times because they didn't have agents available, but
And at any time, did you go into any of the other scenes?
no, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, we do have a final stipulation and that is that no DNA profiles belonging to Edward Jacob Wagner, Angela Wagner, George Washington Wagner III, or George Washington Wagner IV were found at scene 4, 799 Left Fork Road. Is that acceptable?
Is he saying no or new?
Washington Wagner III. And that is that no DNA profiles belonging to Edward Jacob Wagner, Angela Wagner, George Washington Wagner III, or George Washington Wagner IV were found at scene 4, 799 Left Fork Road. Is that acceptable?
Okay, this is what I think.
All right.
I don't feel like
The
we
jury
can,
is
hold on a sec.
instructed to
I don't
accept
feel
the
like we
stipulation.
can trust the closed captioning because obviously it's been it's messed up before. It's not 100% accurate all the time. And I think I think it's in his pronunciation. I think what he's saying is no, not new. Because that would make no sense. What do you mean new DNA? Doing, I can't even talk. What do you mean new DNA profiles? I think it's in his pronunciation. I think that he's saying no, which makes sense because in opening statements, the defense said that there was no DNA evidence found at the scenes that belonged to or that matched George Washington Wagner the fourth. So that's why, because when he said new, well, when I heard it, it sounded like new. But then if you read it in context, if you're paying attention to the context clues, it's no. It's in his pronunciation. It sounds like new, but he's saying no. It's no. The answer is no. There is no DNA matching Edward Jake Wagner, Angela Wagner, George Washington Wagner III, or George Washington Wagner IV found at these crimes at crime scene D, which would be Kenneth Roden's home. So don't be confused. Nonstop Mom, I got you. There is no DNA. Especially because when he used the word or between George III and George IV, context clues dictate that it's got to be, it's just his pronunciation. It sounds like new, but he's saying no. Yes, it's all going to be circumstantial, Nonstop Mom. But I said, like I said earlier, let's see, how does it go? Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And so, especially given the fact that everything that was tested for DNA came back to the victims. That's very different than in another case where there was physical evidence there, but it didn't match the defendants. So that's different. That's not no physical evidence. That's just physical evidence not matching the people who were charged and later convicted of the crime. That's different than no physical evidence, period. And there is any evidence that has been collected thus far and tested that's been presented here at trial with respect to like DNA has come back matching the victims. That's very indicative of the perpetrator taking measures, gloves, like wearing gloves, stuff like that, to avoid leaving physical evidence like fingerprints, DNA, stuff like that. So, yeah. Yeah, I like that quote too. It's a good quote. All right, you guys. Well, that's it for the morning session. I will be back tonight and we'll do a summary of today's testimony tonight. Look for and I usually schedule the stream at 7 p.m. Eastern time because StreamYard likes 2 hours for whatever reason, and so does YouTube. So that's how we're going to do it. I appreciate you guys all for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday, and I'll see you Monday tonight. See you later, alligators. After a while, crocodiles. All right, y'all have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out on the real streets and out on these YouTube streets because it gets dicey. All right, bye, y'all.